How's it going, everybody? Join us today as we talk about. That was bad. I don't know why. I'm trying to think of how to word it, but whatever. Okay. Join us today as we explore the dangerous and often deadly world where social media influences and cartel operatives intersect. Discover the tragedy that is Faruko Pop, a rising star whose connections with the cartels led to a shocking end, and learn how cartels manipulate influencers to further their criminal enterprises, and conclude, in other words, we're going to end with the legendary Chalino Sanchez, a musician whose life and death remain shrouded in mystery. What was in that note? Things like that, because it's one of the biggest mysteries in the music industry. And one of the first recorded instances of the cartels messing with celebrities / influencers. And he was an influencer. He was a very influential person. Oh man. I was messing with all my settings. I was trying to do something. I could probably do it from here, but whatever. We'll deal with that as time comes on. Anyways, no hat today, hair up. We mean business today. We're just gonna jump on into it because the weird news was gonna be over Faruko Pop. And that is what we're gonna talk about today. So hold on. Itchy nose right here. And bam. Don't need the teleprompter. Bam. That works too. Okay. So Faruko Pop from Guatemala. Born May 25th. Or no, died May 25th, 2024. Guatemala City, Guatemala. Authorities everywhere have confirmed that he's passed. There was a story that he came back, so I don't know. And this is all it just happened. So I'm going to be reading from We Got This Covered and LatinTimes.com. This was as of 2 days ago. So if you spend any amount of time on TikTok, you've heard of it, you've seen it. The rising star Faruko Pop, the Guatemalan 18-year-old. The hell was that? Oh, my camera. Oh, I couldn't. You know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna mess with that right now. So many things, some random noise was as soon as I start talking about the cartels, stuff starts popping off. I would turn everything off. And nope, episode done. Sorry about that. I got ADHD. Where was it? Oh yeah, the Guatemalan 18-year-old singer and influencer amassed quite the following in a short amount of time. Faruko Pop is not his real name. His real name is Jorge Sebastian Pop Chocoj. He named himself after his favorite Puerto Rican singer and rapper, Faruko. He recently shot to fame after an appearance on a Guatemalan talent show. Although he did not win, one of the judges recognized the boy's talent and offered to coach him. After his big break into his career, it took on a life of its own online, particularly on TikTok. They didn't just like him for his music. He had plenty of videos that showed what a charismatic and kind person he was. There's a U.S. fan account for the singer that has over 500,000 followers. So it's safe to say Pop will always... Oh, I had a burp, sorry. That Pop was well on his way to becoming a huge star. So what happened to him? Pop's rise to fame was cut drastically short after the teen's body was discovered by Guatemalan authorities. Before this, he had been missing for several days, and people had speculated that he may have run away, but sadly this was not the case. What is even more shocking is the nature of the singer's death. According to an article from Latin Times, which is my second source, so I might as well just read one thing. He was found in a mass grave that had been dead for 4 to 5 days before he was found. The cause of death was determined to be asphyxiation. Pop's body was found wrapped in sheets 2 meters underground. His body apparently had scratch marks as well as other signs of violence. Firearms were also discovered at the scene, which certainly suggests his death was not accidental. So, in other words, they kidnapped him, beat him, threw away, buried the evidence along with them, thinking that no one was going to find it, and disappeared. Now, one of the conspiracies that came from this was that his own family, like his cousin, turned him into the cartels because, kidnapping situation of an uprising star. He was asking like $10,000. And he was like, why not give me some of that money? There's a lot of videos that came out. People were like, well, if you're going to give 10,000 for him, give it to me. And, I'm his cousin and I'm suffered. Nah, man, it's too sketchy. Like, if my family were kidnapped and it was a situation like that, it'd be a whole different story. I wouldn't be like, give me the money. I'd be like, look, here's what I got. It's all I got. And it wouldn't be give me the money. I'd be like, that's it? Because it's all I got. I wouldn't be begging on the side like, oh, I'm suffering too. Nah. I would just hope for a safe return. I wouldn't care, But like, one of the conspiracy was that his cousin turned him in to get some money and fame out of it too. That's a whole nother thing. There isn't a whole lot of information to go off right now. Francisco Jimenez, Guatemala's Minister of the Interior, has promised justice will be served for the late singer. Authorities are currently investigating reports that there are suspects in custody, but so far there hasn't been any word on a killer or motive. There are theories regarding the teen's death, with many believing it was related to local gangs, although the exact reason for targeting Frugal Pop isn't yet clear. He's famous. What other, if they think they can get money, extort people that know him for money because he's famous, he was coming up. But I don't think he had signed any deals or anything. He'd think he was just coming up. It was held for him. A funeral was held for him. While many fans continue to mourn his loss online, comments on TikTok offer condolences, calling him a great kid and pure soul. Although his music career was short-lived, it seems he was still able to make quite a mark. So, y'all probably saw that, but on my screen, when I did that, my nose was out of camera view. So let me do this real quick. Had to itch my nose. Whatever. Accept. It always asks, do you want to accept all these cookies? No, but I have to read. So now we're to read from the Latin Times. So let's see. I already went over that. His name, it was buried in a clandestine grave within an abandoned house in Guatemala City's El Limon area. According to the National Institute of Forensic Science, he had been asphyxiated. So all reports point that he was choked out. It goes over his fame. He was offered a scholarship for singing lessons. He was getting a lot of attention. I don't think he was making big money from it. He was just coming up. He hadn't had that opportunity. But they thought that they could. I'm telling you, it had to have been because they thought they could extort money out of him. Here's a music video, but it looks like it was done by a bunch of kids. His music is a blend of cumbia, reggaeton, and Mexican corridos. Remains available on all platforms like YouTube. Songs such as El Soltero Feliz, the happy single man, and Hombre Normal, normal man, stand as a testament to his artistic promise and are cherished by his fans. They're not going to find any hardcore evidence. Yeah. But that is just it's what happens. And he's not the only one that's happened to. If you type in influencers that called out the cartels, there's a lot of Mexican influencers that have gone missing. They think they're big, bad, and then that's it. There's a video on YouTube called 5 Times TikTokers Mess with the Wrong Cartels. Let's see. This one's from the Washington Post. A YouTube star. I remember this one. Juan Luis Laguna Rosales was born in the Mexican state of Sinaloa already starting off bad. He's a famous influencer, young, from the heart of the cartels in Sinaloa. The next line in this article: a center for cartels and the land of notorious drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. I have nothing against El Chapo. I believe that even though he was, or he is still, one of the biggest drug kingpins, cartel leaders in all the world, right? He kept the peace. Mexico was safer back then. Then they caught him, and now there's like, oh, don't go here, don't go here. If you do, don't stop if someone tells you. No, there's so many things that have happened because he got locked up. Personally, I say send him back to Mexico with the help of, black ops intelligence from the U.S. side. Listen, and let him take over again. Let him regain control. Put a stop to all the stupid cartels that have run amok, unguided by a leader. I gotta think of how I'm gonna word that, because I'm gonna go back and delete what I just said. Unguided cartels, and have them have a guide as Joaquin. He did a lot of good. I'm probably gonna keep all that in just because you can see me catch myself and realize that's the moment he fucked up. Anyways, Lagunas grew up never knowing his father. His mother left him with his grandmother as a child. That's a big thing. That's a big thing in Hispanic families. Because I was raised by my grandmother. I wasn't abandoned, but like a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Mexicans that I know were raised by their grandmothers. It's just a thing. I don't know why. I've talked about this before in one of my other videos. I wasn't abandoned. I was a stable home where I went to school, same district, while my mom figured out her life and is now living comfortably. But they raised me well, so I got my own place now. So again, it worked. And my brothers, they're great. They're doing, everyone's like, it worked. Like I was, raised by my grandmother. I did everything I could, did what I wanted to, lived my life. My mom did everything, came in, parented, whatever right? And then bettered herself, and now my brothers have a great life. Me, I live with my grandma. I have a great life too. I mean, I don't know why, but the firstborn always gets sent with the grandma thing. And in situations like that, it works really well. I don't know why. Maybe I should send my daughter. She a pain in my ass. Anyways, Lagunas left his hometown at the age of 15 without finishing high school, moving to the nearby municipality of Culiacan. Culiacan was shot up because they arrested El Chapo Guzman's son. And an army went through and basically almost leveled that whole town down. Like they went in a straight line just shooting, just mowing everything down until they released him. And they released him real quick. Washing cars and making a living. He said in an interview in July it was in this adopted town that he took on the nickname that would later become known across cyberspace as El Pirata de Culiacan, the pirate of Culiacan. He started landing invitations to more and more parties and soon fell into a life of excessive drinking. He would post videos on social media showing chugging beer bottles and whiskey and just having a good time. He'd get so messed up he would pass out. The videos started going viral. In the years that followed, the binging teenager became a perverse YouTube sensation. At the age of 17, he racked up more than 1 million followers on Facebook and more than 300,000 on Instagram. His social media fame started earning him spots in music videos and promotional events. His baby face matched with his belligerent, clownish behavior, entertained the masses, yet it was easy to forget that he was still a child. He drew a beard on his chin to look older. He tattooed his arms, a pirate on one, a tiger on the other. He posted pictures on Instagram with large guns, half-naked women, and luxury cars. The drinking age in Mexico is 18, but El Pirata de Culiacan drank as if he had no limits. Like many teenage boys, he lived as if he was invincible, saying whatever he wanted about whomever he wanted. It was all a big game, a big party. See, that right there, it was all a big game and a big party. You can get away with that, like where I'm from, Mexico. You can get away with that in where, like in Guatemala, where I hate to say where Faruco Papa's from, because that wasn't as controlled by cartels as it is by gangs. You know, because they think it was gang related, but gangs are prevalent everywhere. They're horrible. But like you can get away with that in like L.A. You can get away with that in New York. You can get away with that in Tijuana. You can get away with that in a lot of places in Mexico. Just having it big, just going big and all out all the time, drinking, partying, saying whatever you want, doing whatever you want. You can get away with that. But in Sinaloa, you do that, you say whatever you want, you do whatever you want near the wrong person. And that is it. That is the last time anyone will ever see you alive. And unfortunately, that's what happened to this guy. In Sinaloa, one of Mexico's most violent states, no one is invisible, especially when you mess with the wrong people. And a video that he posted online, and I saw this video, and as soon as I saw this video, my jaw dropped. I was like, this dude's done. He's done. And one recent, seemingly intoxicated Laguna was recorded taking a stab at Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes. I'm pronouncing these names properly. Also known as El Mencho. Cervantes happened to be one of Mexico's most dangerous drug lords, according to the U.S. government, the leader of the new generation cartel of Jalisco. Now, I'm going to sum it up because I'm not going to use the same words he used, because I may be like, I don't know, I guess I'd be classified as a micro influencer because I'm under 1,000. There's different levels. I never knew that. There's different levels to influencership. But I'm micro, I'm minuscule, I'm bottom tier. So I'm still going to word things properly and short-term things, because I look at my analytics and every now and then Mexico pops up. So I'm not taking my chances. But what he basically says, he could suck it. Now, his exact words, I'm not going to say. You can look him up. But the way he said it was a phrase and an insult. And on Monday night, while he and his friends partied at a bar in Jalisco, a group of armed individuals burst in, fired at him. The Attorney General of Jalisco, Chalino Sanchez Jimenez, told Mexican media outlets the teenager died, sustaining between 15 and 18 bullet wounds. The only way they were able to identify him was because of his tattoos. They have not identified or the motive behind those responsible, but they confirmed the news outlets that they're investigating the possible link between. Yeah, no, it's possible that, these armed men kicked down the doors to a bar where somebody who insulted their boss was at by accident and shot up the bar. Or he insulted their boss, they kicked down the door, and something happened. I gotta stay aloof. I can't tell you this is what happened. I can tell you something happened. But he is like one of the last people that you would ever want to insult, just because He's a leader. You don't insult their leaders. They take that very seriously. The new generation is relatively new. It's still newer. Coalescing less than a decade ago, it stemmed. Actually, by now, when this happened to now, it's probably been over a decade. I don't know. When did this article come out? Yeah, it's been over a decade. Way over a decade. But they're still new. It's a new gang. Yeah, so. His cartel, the new generation, it stemmed from the remnants of another group, the Millennial Cartel, and makes money by selling guns, stealing gas, extortion, and kidnapping. It is one of the fastest rising drug cartels in Mexico, are operating in several Mexican states and forging underworld ties around the globe. The group has been linked to thousands of murders, according to Rolling Stone's profile. Many of them have been traced specifically to their leader, who was reportedly a former police officer. Now, if that's the case, that's how a lot of them came into power. The new generation, the new cartels of Sinaloa, Generation Z cartel, Los Zetas, they were former cops, former military, former whatever. They had the training, they used it, they took over. And they took over fast and brutal. And they were organized with, because they're military. And they're police officers, so they know the ins and outs. They know a way around. It was insanity. During the times when they started taking over after El Chapo Guzman got arrested. So, he died during a record moment in history of Mexico, making it one of the bloodiest on record. In the first 10 months of 2017, 20,878 murders were counted nationwide. That's an average of 69 murders a day. He opted to make a career as a broken toy of cyberspace, a path he carved out drink by drink that left him with enemies of flesh and blood. The poisoned fame of El Pirata. He managed to transcend borders, even landing on Rolling Stones, not for his fame, but for his death. His killing gave him the popularity he never imagined. There were a lot of people who criticized him, but the truth is, that's why El Pirata got started. Everyone in their own way tries to find a way to get ahead. When people ask me, how do you do it? How do you handle drinking so much? His response, I just laugh. I say, I don't know how, I just do it. They're right. Sometimes I go too far. The host who asked him this question wished him the best with his career, encouraging him to get a grip on the partying so that he can last many years. After hearing that, Instagram celebrities, and promoter Beto Sierra remember Laguna as a cheerful, positive, fun friend. But yeah, damn. My contacts are drying out. But yeah, that's what happens. Like, the cartels do not play. That is not what you do. You do not say horrifically negative things about these people. No. I clicked on a video and it just started playing in my ears. Startled me. Let's see. Let's do one more before we get into the big one. I mean, he's the most famous one there is. Okay, so let's see. Oh, they gave nothing, huh? I knew you would. Fofo? Who's Fofo? It's a lot of reading. Let's do another search. Another thing you don't do is... Oh, there you go. Someone summarized it. Do they show the names? As El Mencho. I already saw that one. Oh, he's... Okay, cool. So, the video is 5 times TikTokers mess with the wrong cartels. It's on YouTube. I have a summary of it. Fofo, a popular TikTok dancer, posted a video of himself dancing on a bridge in Guadalajara, Mexico, which created a viral outrage on the platform. Despite his apology and offering of community service, the incident led to CJ&J, an influential drug cartel, to punish him. They sent a message via an anonymous account named Gente con la Gente NG, which roughly translates to with the new generation. In Spanish, to Fofo, the message criticizes his actions, warned that he should never again disrespect El Mencho. See, another famous person who disrespected, another TikToker influencer that disrespected him. The message criticizes his actions. The cartel believed that Mencho should be feared and worshipped by Mexicans. And Fofo's actions against him were to be considered an insult to their authority. The CJ&J was not afraid to kill him if he ever returned to Guadalajara. The incident led to a significant change in Fofo's life, affecting his previous carefree life on TikTok. Overall, the incident further highlighted the power and influence the cartels have in Mexico. So, don't. Yeah, he shut down a bridge to film a video. And it's... Okay, yeah, so he shut down a bridge to dance on and make a TikTok video. And this bridge is famous for where the cartels hang the bodies. Or somebody hangs the bodies. I don't know if it's the cartels or not. This is speculation on my end. But it's where they put the bodies. And they thought of it as an insult that he's dancing on this bridge. This where they sent the message. So, never do that. Never do that. Just don't. Whew. The next one is, again, they talk about El Pirata de Culiacan, which is the one we just talked. And then there's an individual known as, who challenged notorious criminal organization Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, CJ&J, and the Sinaloa cartel, the big one, or El Mencho. Juan was killed in December 2017 when he hosted a party at a bar in Jalisco where he was promptly targeted and shot by the Sicarios, a group of assassins associated with CJ&J. El Chanito, another Mexican teenager, saw Juan's death as an opportunity to gain notoriety and revenge against the megalomaniac boss. I'm not going to say who it was, just the boss. By calling out CJ&J and G and associating himself with them. His posture and expression proved the stupidity of challenging one of the most wanted men in the world, and he ultimately paid the price. Why? Why do you want to join the bandwagon and be like, I'll avenge you, my fellow youth? You're a kid. These guys are grown men with guns. This isn't like in the States where you can pull out your camera phone and be like, oh, I'm recording you. I got you. No, because they'll take your phone, beat you with it, shoot you. They don't play around. Allegedly. I don't know what they do or don't do. I know that the cops will take you to the railroad tracks and pour seltzer up your nose with high power. Torture. Get mariachi. At least that's what I heard. That was the story growing up. I don't know. They tell us a lot of stories growing up, kind of to keep you in line. Leslie Ann Montenegro, a Mexican social media influencer, gained fame as a TikToker, YouTuber, celebrity. However, her content shifted towards exposing corrupt officials within the Mexican government, and her revelations led to the death threats from the cartels. She ultimately paid the price when two gunmen gunned her down in a restaurant in Acapulco. The individuals, despite their added risk, chose to speak out against the cartels and their activities. Unaware of the danger, celebrated a party with his friends. So just... why? Why would you do that? So Leslie Ann's content shifted from to exposing corrupt officials within the Mexican government, and that led to death threats. Even though there was banners accusing her of collaborating with rival cartels, Leslie remained resolute in her mission and paid the ultimate cost. Another one, Leslie B., who was killed for exposing corruption in Acapulco, and Rusty, who faced threats from Jalisco New Generation. Again, they're one of the big ones. Along with the Sinaloa. Sinaloa is top dog. So, and Rusty Cucumber was subsequently placed under the government protection. What? Who's Rusty Cucumber? Or is that just a typo? Because this article is a summary of everything that happened. I'm Googling it. Okay, cool. The summary just didn't read. Yeah, the summary report just couldn't report. It turned it into rusty cucumber. Oh man. Chalino Sanchez and Tupac. Oh, they met. Okay. Maybe I'm just dumb and I've probably seen this video a long time ago. Or this picture a long time ago. But they met. That's awesome. That is awesome. Anyways. We're gonna end this with Chalino Sanchez. One of the most famous people that I've ever heard of that messed with the cartels and paid the price. Now, in Mexico, there's a type of music called corridos. Type that in. Oh, there it goes. Now, the definition of corrido is a narrative ballad usually sung or spoken to music. Our traditional Mexican song style that tells stories through narrative ballad. Narrative ballads, the word corrido comes from the Spanish word verb correr, which means run, and suggests a running narrative. Corridos are often sung or spoken to music and can cover a variety of topics, including battle, victories, and losses, individuals taking on the establishment, the lives of great or notorious people, epic journeys, oppression, history, daily life for criminals, the vaquero lifestyle being a cowboy, cultural conflict in the borderlands. Now, there's a subgenre of corridos known as narco corridos. Narco being narcotraficante, which is drug dealer. There's drug-related corridos. And they're the most notorious songs. I've heard a lot of them. I used to listen to them all the time growing up because they're great songs. But they cover the cartels. Now, a lot of them are songs about tragic events that happen because of cartels that have been known. They're like, oh, this person died and blah, blah, blah. The song goes and, it explains things. But for a while there were certain bands that would come out and singers that would come out and would sing directly about what happened and have like insider knowledge about what happened. And that's when corridos became dangerous because then they really started listening to them like, how do they know what's happening? And unfortunately, Chalino Sanchez became one of these people. Now, this one's going to be from... They're still making stories about him. This one, 8 months ago. The life and tell. Who was Chalino Sanchez? Like, there's a famous picture of him singing. And he receives a message that says, if you keep singing, we will kill you. And guess what he did? He didn't let that stop him. He was a real one. He was not going to stop. And he receives this note on stage and he looks at it and you're just like, he just continues. He doesn't stop. So, let's see. I want the story of his life. Yeah, I can't spell today. I go from DinoUSA.org. Idolo, the ballad of Chalino Sanchez, the godfather of narco corridos and the theories behind his murder. I don't want to read too much on this one. Damn, they did. It's a podcast. They did 8 episodes, each of them over 30 minutes long. Man, they turned his life into a TV show. I just want to bring attention to this. Like, narco corridos are awesome. They're great songs. Just be careful. So I just want to read kind of what he was about. Got it. Accept. He was the king of corridos. The body of Chalino Sanchez, 31, was found lying next to a road in Culiacan, Sinaloa. If you notice, a lot of the stories happen around Sinaloa. With 2 bullet holes in his head, it was May 16th, 1992, just one day before he was murdered. In the middle of a concert, he received a letter from someone in the audience. Chalino read the paper carefully. His face turned yellow. He wiped the sweat away from his forehead with one hand and began singing Soul in Love as if nothing had happened. That was the name of the song in Spanish. The moment at his last concert, documented on home video, has since been known as the Death Note. Its content, like most of the musician's life, is still unknown, just one more among the many feats and misfortunes that accompany every popular hero. Of humble migrant origins, Chalino's corridos, a traditional Mexican style, blah, 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 blah. I want to know about his life. There it goes. Chalino Sanchez was born in the small farming municipality of Guayabo in 1960 near the center of Culiacan, the youngest of a humble family with 8 siblings. He grew up surrounded by the violence that was emerging in the state of Sinaloa, cartel violence. He grew up in a place with few opportunities and surrounded by violence. That same violence was what made him violent. A sentence. This got translated to English, and Mendoza said his father passed away when he was 6 years old. His older brother, Lucas Sanchez, took care of the siblings. Lucas described his little brother in an interview with the YouTube channel Margarito Music as a violent person. This perception is supported by one of the most widespread stories about his youth after a man R-worded his sister. Chalino took justice into his own hand. He shot him dead. The violence and lack of opportunity caused him to flee to the United States. In 1984, after one of the many gaps in his biography, Chalino racked up several tragedies. One of his brothers was found shot dead at Tijuana. The singer narrated it into one of his songs, which he named after his brother Armando Sanchez. In the city of Tijuana, gentlemen, this happened. A man of courage died, a coward killed him. Without giving him time to do a thing, he was shot 7 times. That's the translation from Spanish to English. That same year that Armando lost his life, Chalino went to jail. Juan Carlos Ramirez Pimienta, a professor of literature and cultural studies at San Diego University, that even in this period of incarceration is unclear. There are many things that we take for granted, but we simply cannot verify. I've tried to verify his stay at TJ Penitentiary, but it's been very difficult. I haven't found the name Rosalino Sanchez among the former inmates. However, it is common for people to enter false names. Back in the day, they didn't really have to give you a real name. He gave him an alias because most likely he wasn't in the States legally. He made a contract with Criminal World in prison, writing corridos upon request. He told the stories of these criminals, sometimes glorifying them. Ramirez Pimienta says that the phenomenon of commission is very common in the genre of music. There are singers who say that all their corridos are paid for. Very high-profile singers who say it openly. Not only do you need to order a corrido, you also need to ask permission from the cartels. So, in other words, a lot of the corridos that are, I can't say popular, a lot of the ones that are sung by mainstream artists are bought by the cartels. Like, that's their influence. They're like, make us look like folk heroes. And they buy it, and they're like, bet you're paying me $500,000. I guess I can do this. And they're great singers. People respect them. And they come out with these songs and they look like Robin Hood. But then you get some singers who aren't like that. They're not being bought. Now, Chalino did this in prison to make money. I'm not saying he didn't do this, but he speculations, he did it in prison to make money. But I'm pretty sure after he got out, he just started singing. Let's find out. Across the border, undocumented. I told you he was undocumented. He didn't want people to find out. Headed to Los Angeles, he found informal jobs from working in the Coachella fields to buying and selling cars. At the end of the 1980s, he was introduced to producer Angel Parra, who helped him record his first cassette at the San Angelo Studios. At the San Angel Studios, I said Studios, El Corrido del Sapo, the Frog's Ballad, together with Los Cuatro de la Frontera, the Four of the North, and Norteño Band, a type of regional, whatever. Y'all know what norteños are. He was one of the first musicians to record the harsh stories being lived in Mexico at the time. He didn't have the greatest voice, but his songs were successful. He offered a democratization of the possibility of singing. Sorry, sometimes I just can't read. One person said, if he sings, I can sing. Like, yeah, he wasn't the best singer. He didn't have the best voice, but he was just doing and singing what he knew. He sang with his heart out of passion. That's also very Mexican. I think that Chalino is a great chronicler of the underworld of the time. He also sang about love. Legends that spoke of Chalino as a brave and violent guy were confirmed in 1992 during his performance at the Plaza de los Arcos bar in the city of Coachella, California. Nacho Hernandez, the accordionist of Los Amables del Norte, the group with which he performed, narrated the event on the podcast. A man in the audience, Edward Gallegos, became furious with the singer for not singing El Gallo de Sinaloa, the rooster of Sinaloa. He pulled out a pistol and fired. Chalino, who always went on stage armed, also took out his pistol and shot. A shootout ensued, and one member of the public died and several were injured. Chalino was hospitalized with gunshot wounds, and Gallegos was jailed. Can you imagine? Like, he's on stage. This guy got mad because he didn't sing one of his favorite songs. The most probably like was a tribute to one of his bosses or something. He gets mad, shoots at him. Chalino just goes, bet, bah, shoots back. Like, that's unreal. The incident, however, helped project his image. Cassette sales and audience attendance at his subsequent concerts increased. In the first recording, 300 copies were made. After the last one, 31,000 were released. A few months after becoming famous in the U.S., Chalino returned to Culiacan to give some concerts. The stories collected by experts, such as Ramirez Pimienta, speak of the fact that many people recommend that he not travel to Sinaloa. Yeah, he shouldn't have gone back. While the state of Sinaloa was struggling with a lot of violence, the singer was proud to represent the common man. He really liked walking through the streets of Culiacan, showing how he overcame the original situation of backwardness, poverty, and misery. He walked surrounded by people in fancy cars. The times I saw him, he seemed like a normal citizen, but also an outstanding one, said the reporter. In Culiacan in the 80s, there was a remarkable and visible level of organized crime. The second generation of the Sinaloa cartel was emerging, led by Armando Carrillo Fuentes, Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, and Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, which are three of the top dogs, 1, 2, 3, and El Chapo Guzman became the leader. Chalino gave his last concert in his hometown in the Bugambillas Hall. He read the death note. And the next day, a car and a van with people dressed as federal cops fired 2 shots at the singer. The reason for the hit has never been revealed. I'm pretty sure it's because he got too close. He started, he got famous. Probably brought too much attention to them just singing. Yeah, even to this day, you can find stuff with his name on it. He's still one of the greatest around. He's become everything, but at a tragic cost. Like, he got too big, he got too big, made it famous, went home. I guarantee you he rubbed somebody the wrong way, because the cartels back then wouldn't call out a hit unless they needed to make an example. They weren't, don't get me wrong, they weren't opposed to just shooting someone in broad daylight, but they also that wasn't their MO at the time. They weren't like, unless you did something great to offend them, they weren't just going to shoot you. And I guarantee you, he knew too much and he was becoming too big that they were just like, you know what? we can't have you doing this because we don't know that much about you. Yeah, this is your hometown. You grew up with us and you're famous now. They probably thought he knew too much, but he lived his life. He was the original rock star. Like, that is baller. Like, someone shot at him, so he just shot. That's all I can say. But anyways, that's all I got for today. This all came within the past couple weeks of Vertical Pop It. I thought about doing this one. I'm posting this episode first. The next one's going to be over angelic spirits found in Mexico, because of recent reports in the news that the Pope has come out with well, it's been a couple weeks that the Pope has come out with what to do, with certain things coming out. I can word that a lot better if I can. Vatican guidelines to the paranormal. Do they have it actually? Did they release them? Go away. They did release them. Oh, Streamlabs is bugging me. Okay. So I'm gonna talk about it in the next episode. But there are guidelines. Just nihil obstat. This means no obstacle. Declarito de non supernaturalita. Declaration of non supernaturality. Are some of the things that they're tightening up on. The Vatican. I saw a TikTok about this that someone's like, why are they posting this? Did they release an angel to take care of situations? I'm like, what? And that's just like, cool. I'm like, I'm glad I covered that already. So that's gonna be next. Yeah, later guys. Stay spooky, my friends. Like, follow, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all next time. Where is the stop button?